Hey guys, Joe DeMarco from the Crazy New York Driver Show, Friday, December 12th, 2014, with another eBay video. Today we're going to discuss several topics, including but not limited to eBay radio, the tutorial I made the other night, the out of stock option, following other eBayers, and selling limits. Okay, let's start out with a little rehash of the video I made a couple of nights ago. I threw up a video on Wednesday night, which I usually don't do. It was a quick tutorial about a website called watchcount.com, which I highly recommend if you guys want to check on any eBay bidder activity. As you know, right now you cannot check through eBay like we could in the old days and find out what people have purchased in the past. I find this a very useful tool, especially when somebody buys an item, pays for it, and shortly thereafter cancels it. I want to know if the guy has found the item cheaper after he purchased my item. And 9 times out of 10 that's the case, and I proved it to you on the video Wednesday. And I think you guys would find it helpful if you haven't seen it already. A few people wrote in regarding the best offer option. And they said, well, Joe, you don't have to really go to that site to check out the best offer option. All you have to do is go back to the original listing and click print. That is, of course, true, and I made a video about that last year telling people how to do that. But the problem that lies therein is I had gotten quite a few emails from people telling me that their screen did not show the print function. And for the most part, the problem these people were incurring was the fact that they would go back and they wouldn't actually click on the link that says see original listing. It's very important that you do that, and some people didn't know it. So I figured for those people I would put out another way that they could just check on the best offer option. So guys, don't worry, I know about the print feature. Okay? Yesterday, Thursday, I was on eBay radio. I called in because I wanted to bring up 2 problems that I've encountered. Number one is I get a ton of you guys asking me to follow you. And believe me, I love to follow every one of you, but eBay won't let me. Right now, I have 375 followers, I believe, but don't quote me exactly, but it's around there. And I get a lot of you guys sending me messages saying, Joe, here's my eBay store, follow me. And when I click on follow, I get an error message. Now, I believe eBay caps us at 100 people we can follow, and that's it. But I'm not 100% sure. So yesterday I called up Griff on eBay Radio Live, and I posed a question to him. And he didn't even know. So he's researching that, he's researching that as we speak, and I will get back to you with an answer from him in a few days. Also on eBay Radio, it was ironic because one of you guys actually called in or wrote into eBay Radio yesterday, Keith, one of my subscribers, and he even mentioned me. So, I mean, it was ironic. The first segment was one of my subscribers who wrote in to tell eBay that he was a new eBayer and that he watches the Crazy New York Driver Show and that he found it helpful. And maybe 5 minutes later, I call in to ask Griff about the following option. I also posed a question to Griff about the out-of-stock option because I was wanting that for so long, and I was finally able to opt in, and for the first week, it worked fine. But starting last week, it stopped working. My auctions were ending, and I was not allowed to repopulate them. And it happened 2 or 3 times in a row, so I got disgusted and I opted out. And I also mentioned that to Griff, and he's checking on that for me as we speak too. Okay? So hopefully I'll have more news next week about that. What I want to talk now is about selling limits. Excuse me while I take a drink. Now I know right now about 3 or 4 people just fell off their chairs and hit the ground. And they're saying, why isn't he drinking Gatorade? Why is he drinking that? You want to know what's in here, guys? It's orange juice. For the last week and a half, it has rained and snowed every day. It's been cloudy and cold and raw. We do not get any sunlight here, and I'm very deficient in vitamin C. The last time I went to the doctor, he put me on prescription pills for vitamin C, something that has never happened to me into my entire life. But he told me, he said, don't worry about it, Joe. He goes, I'm writing this for every one of my patients. They're so deficient in vitamin C because of the consistently cloudy days we get around here. And I was telling a few of you guys who called me during the week, specifically Tom Taylor from Florida, John the Jeweler from Florida, and Ralph Maricino from Florida. I said to those three guys, I said, guys, you are so lucky to be in Florida. Don't ever move up to the Northeast, you'll regret it. That being said, let's talk about the next topic, which, as I said, is going to be selling limits. Now, there are two types of selling limits. When you start a new account on eBay now, you automatically have selling limits imposed. And that's understandable because you have to prove yourself. eBay wants to be sure you're a reputable seller and not someone that's out to scam people. I have no problem with that. Once you're on eBay for a while and you've proved yourself, they say they will up your selling limits. Okay? Those of us who've been on eBay a really long time, knock wood, never had selling limits imposed on them when they opened their accounts, so that wasn't a problem for us. But I have had quite a few people write into me and complain and say, you know, I want to get my selling limits raised, what should I do? Well, one of the things, guys, you need to do is when you send your items out, send a little note to the buyer saying something like, thank you for buying my item. I'm new on eBay, and I need to prove myself. If you're happy with my item, would you please leave me positive feedback, as it will really help me grow my business on eBay. I strongly suggest all you newbies who want to increase your selling limits, send such a letter. It is so helpful, and also it helps PayPal release monies collected for your early sales, because I do know PayPal puts a hold on them, and this will help you in that respect. What I'd like to talk about now, still with selling limits, is something that somebody brought up to me. And for this part of the video, I just want to tell you, I'm putting this out there saying it could be true. I'm not saying it definitely is true, but I like to put out things that I hear, and hopefully they'll help you. You may remember about a month ago I mentioned to you that I heard unofficially that eBay was dropping the Cassini search engine. Well, guys, now I'm telling you officially they're dropping it, period. I believe it's the beginning of February they're dropping it. Thank God for small favors, but remember where you heard it. You heard it here first. Now, do you guys notice how sometimes it seems like one day you're booming busy on eBay, just one sale after the next, and the next day you don't sell anything? Well, I've been talking about that for a while, and I notice it. For instance, yesterday I was booming. Today, not so much. So, I remember reading a memorandum eBay put out a while back. It was probably over a year ago, where eBay said, and this is their words, that they reserved the right to impose rolling blackouts on anybody's store. And I read this myself, and I always thought that was counterproductive, because why would they want to block out anybody's store at any point? Because if we don't sell, they don't make the commissions. Okay? Right? Makes sense, doesn't it? So, again, I decided to do a little investigative work here. Actually, one of my friends, it was John the Jeweler, in fact. Hi, John. I tell you, I had so many calls this week from eBayers, it set a new record. There were times when I was on the phone with one eBayer phone 2 would ring and it's another eBayer waiting in line to talk. But I want you guys to conduct an experiment right now. Open a second browser window and log on to your My eBay. All right? I'm going to tell you exactly what I want you to do. Do this live, if you would, please. And I'll walk you through it. I'll give you a second to get that called up. All right. I'd like you to log into My eBay. On the right side, see where it says Seller Dashboard Summary? Okay. Click on, go to your dashboard. What I want you to do is, pretty near the top, it's going to say your seller level is. All right. In my case, it's top rated. But right below that, there's a very small blue hyperlink. I'd like you to click on that. Do that now, please. It says View Trending Data. Please click on that now. You'll see that there's a small chart with your sales listed monthly. You'll see August 14, September 14, October 14, etc., etc. Look at the amount of sales you had per month and tell me, do you see anything on there that strikes you as maybe a little odd? Normally I would tell you my statistics right now, but I don't want to imbue your results or your opinions, okay? Does anything strike you a little bit odd about that? So it got me to thinking, does eBay impose rolling blackouts on our listings? Do you guys sometimes feel that some days are just booming beyond belief and some days are dead with nothing? Because I have found that for very many months. This is something that's going to become a little more clear, I think, beginning of the year. I'm a little reluctant, or reticent as the case may be, to go further into it at this time. John the Jeweler, you know what I'm talking about. We'll discuss this more probably in January or early February. But what do I see coming down the road now for eBay in 2015? I still think eBay will be the premier marketplace to sell your items, as opposed to, let's say, Amazon. Amazon is really the only competition they have. Those other eBid sites and SD or Etsy, you know, they don't figure in. But Amazon is the only powerhouse, and I've been told by some of you guys who sell on Amazon that they won't even let you sell anything used anymore. T-shirts for one thing, for instance. So, again, I see eBay being the dominant force in 2015. I do see some changes coming down the road in 2015. Some of them good. Some of them, well, we'll have to see. As I said, the Cassini search engine is being dropped, just like I said it would, and I was right about that. That's a good change. Maybe in a couple of weeks I'll have some other things to talk to you about regarding changes that I've heard. I don't like to release any what I would call rumors or unsubstantiated rumors until I can at least check it out with some modicum of credibility. I want to know that the stories are in fact true. So that's why I'm not letting loose with a couple of other things that I heard. But I will. Once I'm sure of them, I'll come through with them. So basically, I hope that answers your questions that you guys wrote in about selling limits, especially selling limits, because that was the biggest point this week that everybody seemed to write in about. And not just the new sellers, but the established sellers as well. You know, I would like to see eBay remove selling limits from all established sellers. Okay? And as for you newbies, once you prove yourself, let's say, I don't know if it's 15 or 20 items or whatever, and you're a good seller, you too should be increased. I don't see why they would really want to hinder any seller, because the more sellers make, the more eBay makes. I do foresee 2015 in being a very interesting year to sell on eBay, and as always, I recommend every single one of you to list your items on eBay. I'm Crazy New York Driver and you're not. Maybe next week I'll be able to go into a little bit more detail on a few things. If not, by the end of the year or early in January for sure. Thanks for watching. Type your comments below, especially if you have anything to say about selling limits, or if you have anything to say about the new tool that I showed you guys the other night, watchcount.com, or if you'd like to talk about eBay Radio. And I highly recommend you guys listen to eBay Radio every Tuesday and Thursday at 11 o'clock in the morning Western Time or 2 o'clock in the afternoon here on the East Coast. You'll learn a lot. You can call in, you can ask questions, they'll take your questions, or you can type them in. Alright? Hope to see you guys next Friday night. Take it easy guys and rock on. Bye.